On September 14, 2025, a trail camera captured Bigfoot in broad daylight, and for the first time ever, the Sasquatch's footage was so detailed that every expert came back with the same uncomfortable question: does the clearest Bigfoot footage in history prove his existence? Dr. Janet Williamson had been a wildlife biologist for 30 years, working out of Arcata, California. She had zero interest in Bigfoot research. She considered it junk science, and she had said exactly that in scientific publications when the topic came up. The area where she set up her cameras in the summer of 2025, the Bluff Creek watershed in Six Rivers National Forest, was famous for being the location where the 1967 Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot film was shot. That history meant nothing to her. She picked the location because the bear den data she could gather there was worth the drive from Arcata. She had set up 12 high-resolution motion-activated cameras across a 15-square-mile study area. On September 22nd, during a routine check of her cameras, she removed the memory card from camera 9 and drove back to her field station near the park boundary. When she watched the footage from September 14th and the clip from 2:47 p.m. started playing on her laptop screen, she absolutely couldn't believe her eyes. Then she closed her laptop, sat with it closed for a few minutes, and opened it again to make sure she wasn't hallucinating. She spent the next 2 weeks at that field station before she told anyone what she had found. The clip opens on an empty meadow bathed in full afternoon sunlight. Wildflowers spread across the ground, lupine, paintbrush, and columbine swaying slowly in a light breeze, every detail sharp and true to color in the 4K image. The light is bright and even, the kind of mid-afternoon sun that wipes out shadows and shows everything exactly as it is. There is no darkness to hide blurriness in. There is no distance to hide uncertainty about size. Everything that happens in the next 77 seconds happens right out in the open, in the light, with the subject just 35 feet from a camera that can resolve individual hairs. At the 2-second mark, Bigfoot walks into the frame from the right side. The creature is 8 feet tall, a number arrived at by comparing it against plants and trees of known height in the frame, a measurement confirmed by multiple independent analysts, all working from the same footage. It walks upright on 2 legs with a way of moving that is completely different from any human walking pattern. A smooth forward motion that carries a huge amount of body mass with such efficiency that it looks as if the body were specifically built for this kind of terrain and this kind of pace. The hair covering its entire body is reddish-brown, thick and shaggy, ranging from about 4 to 6 inches long across most of its torso, and getting longer and matted down on its arms and legs. In the bright daylight, you can see individual strands, moving on their own in the meadow breeze, layered in different directions, darker along the spine, and lighter across the chest and inner arms in the kind of natural color variation that happens in real animal coats and does not happen to fake fur made in a factory. The shoulders are the first thing that makes every viewer pause, regardless of whether they believe in Bigfoot. They are estimated at 4.5 feet across, a width that does not exist in any known primate, and that creates a body shape that is obviously different from every human silhouette, no matter what angle the camera is at. The arms hang all the way past the knees, swinging back and forth in natural rhythm with the walking stride, the same way arms swing when any 2-legged creature walks, but at a length that has no match in any human being. The hands are visible throughout the whole clip, enormous, 5-fingered, with an opposable thumb and thick padded palms that look structurally similar to the hands of a great ape, but much bigger than anything in the primate record. The muscles underneath the coat are so visible that as the creature walks, one can see the large muscles across the top of its shoulders bunch and release with each arm swing. The broad muscles along its back engage and relax with every rotation of each stride. This is not a simple surface. This is not padding sitting on top of a stiff frame. What the footage is showing is the movement of a living body underneath skin and hair. Real muscles doing real work, producing the kind of movement under the surface that only happens in large, powerful living animals and cannot be faked by anything worn on top of a human body or a rigid frame underneath a costume. The way it walked attracted immediate attention from every movement expert who looked at the footage. The pattern is what scientists call a compliant gait. The knee stays slightly bent throughout the walking cycle, never straightening all the way to the locked, straight leg position that is completely normal and natural in human walking. This creates a distinctive rolling forward motion, a continuous weight transfer through a bent knee contact that keeps the body's center of gravity low and steady. In the footage, the creature crosses the entire meadow without any change in that bent knee pattern, without any of the little corrections a person would make when trying to hold an unnatural walking style over distance. The movement is not something it is doing on purpose. It is simply just how it walks. The footprints it leaves in the soft ground near the edge of the meadow are visible in the footage itself and were still recoverable when Dr. Williamson visited the site 8 days later. They measured 16 to 18 inches long. The distance between footprints was about 5.5 feet, a stride length that is completely impossible to match with human walking mechanics at any height. At the 14-second mark, the creature turns and looks directly at the camera. This moment shows up in every analysis, every presentation, every review of the footage, no matter what conclusion the reviewer eventually reaches, because it is the moment that forces the big question that the rest of the clip hints at, but never fully answers. The face is clearly visible, facing straight at the camera for 3.2 seconds, long enough to capture in detail, long enough to go through frame by frame, long enough to see exactly what is looking back. The head is cone-shaped, with a raised bony ridge running front to back across the top of the skull, similar to the ridge you see on a full-grown male gorilla, but bigger and longer. The face is partly covered in hair, but the features are completely clear. A flat nose with wide nostrils, deep-set eyes sitting beneath a heavy, overhanging brow ridge, high cheekbones, and a wide mouth. The skin visible around the eyes and nose is very dark, almost black, with a rough, thick texture that the high resolution picks up clearly, the look of skin that has spent years exposed to sun, wind, and rain. The eyes also have visible whites. The white part of the eye, called the sclera, is visible around dark irises that are focused directly on the camera lens, not on the meadow around it, not even on the tree line in the distance, but on the lens itself. Those eyes are looking at the specific device attached to the Douglas fir tree, and the expression they carry is intelligent, aware, and sizing things up. The creature is not scared of the camera. It is not backing away from it. It is studying it with focused attention, suggesting it either understands what a camera is, or at minimum is carefully assessing a strange object it has found in territory it knows well. And then it looks away and keeps walking. At the 20-second mark, the hands become the center of attention. The creature reaches down and pinches a plant from the meadow floor, a precise grip between its thumb and one finger. Its hand brings the plant up to its mouth. The jaw moves in the way primate jaws move when chewing, not just up and down, but side to side as well, with the lower jaw rotating in a grinding motion too. It chews the plant material, swallows, and keeps walking. The whole thing takes 8 seconds and is captured with total clarity from 35 feet away in afternoon sunlight. There is no question about what is happening. A large, upright, two-legged primate is picking and eating a plant in a meadow in Northern California on a September afternoon, and a camera that was set up to study bears is recording every second of it. The 44-second mark is the most analyzed moment in the entire footage, and the one that generated the most serious discussion in every expert review session. In the middle of the meadow, the creature stops walking and looks up toward a dead standing tree at the edge of the clearing, a snag, that sticks up above the surrounding vegetation. A dead branch sticks out from the snag at roughly the creature's shoulder height, about 6 feet long and 3 inches across at the base where it meets the trunk. The creature reaches up with both hands, grabs the branch near where it connects to the trunk, and yanks it downward in one sharp motion. The snap is clearly picked up by the camera's microphone. A loud crack, followed by the sound of splintering wood. Breaking a branch 3 inches thick and 6 feet long, even when it is dead and dry, takes real force. For a person, it is a two-handed job that requires using their whole body weight and pushing off for leverage, not just arm strength. The creature in the footage produces that same break with a single downward pull that does not look like it takes any particular effort. The branch just comes off. Bigfoot turns the branch over in both hands and looks at it. Then it reaches the branch over one shoulder and uses the broken end to scratch its back, stretching across to reach a specific spot, adjusting the angle of the branch twice to get to exactly the right location. The whole thing clearly and obviously on purpose. This is the creature identifying a problem, an itch, then choosing an object from its environment, adjusting it to make it useful, and using it for a specific purpose. The full sequence from reaching for the branch to finishing the scratching lasts 11 seconds. It is the clearest footage of Bigfoot using a tool that has ever been recorded, and it happens in bright daylight, up close, in high resolution, with nothing between the camera and the subject. At 1 minute and 3 seconds, the creature drops the branch, starts walking again, and crosses the remaining 40 feet of meadow in that same rolling, bent-knee stride, heading toward the forest on the far side. The footprints it leaves in the soft ground near the far edge of the meadow are deep and clean enough that Dr. Williamson will be able to make plaster casts of 4 of them during her follow-up visit to the site 8 days later. The creature reaches the tree line and steps into the shade of the old-growth forest. Before it disappears completely, it stops and looks back. The look back lasts just over 2 seconds. The head turns back toward the camera, the face partly visible in the edge between the open meadow light and the deeper shadow of the forest, the eyes finding the lens one more time. This final moment is the one Dr. Williamson kept returning to in every conversation about the footage. Not because it was the most dramatic looking, but because the question it raised was never answered by the analysis that followed. Did the creature look back because it heard the camera's motion sensor trigger? Or had it been aware of the camera from the very first second it stepped into the meadow? And was it now making one last check before leaving? Or was it something else entirely? None of the analysts who reviewed the footage over the following months could give a definitive answer. And the answer mattered because it determined whether what the footage showed was a total accident, a wild animal crossing an open field unaware of the device recording it, or something much more complicated and deliberate than that. Then the creature turned and was gone. 77 seconds from its first appearance to its last. The meadow was empty again. The wildflowers kept moving in the breeze the same way they had been the whole time. Dr. Williamson spent the next 2 weeks going through the footage frame by frame, not to decide what to do with it, but because there were specific things visible in the clip that she kept being frightened by. At the 2-second mark, when Bigfoot first enters the frame and is walking in full afternoon sun, the individual strands across its shoulders are doing something that takes a second to spot. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. They are moving independently, not as a layer, not as a mat, but as separate pieces of hair of different lengths, catching the breeze at different speeds and in different directions, exactly the way real hair of that length behaves on a living animal in an open field. The strands along the spine are darker and lie flatter. The hair across the outer arms is longer and lifts more easily. Across the chest and inner arms, where the coloring is lighter, the texture is different again. Finer, less dense, the way an animal's undercoat looks different from the outer coat in direct sunlight. All of that is visible on camera from 35 feet away. And none of it is something fake fur does. Fake fur moves as one flat surface. The footage shows how real hair grows. The second thing she kept returning to was the face at the 14-second mark. Not the overall shape, but the eyes. The 3.2 seconds the face is fully visible are long enough to go through frame by frame, and when you do, what you find is not a blank stare. The gaze moves. In the first frames, the eyes are looking directly at the lens. In the middle frames, there is a small, barely visible shift, the eyes shifting slightly, the way eyes move when a brain is actually processing what it is looking at, not just staring in a direction. In the final frames, before Bigfoot looks away, the expression has changed in a way that is hard to describe precisely once it is seen. The focus is still there, but something else has joined it. Whatever the look back at the end of the clip was about, the face at 14 seconds shows clearly that whatever was in that meadow was not looking at the camera the way an animal looks at an unfamiliar object. It was looking at it the way you look at something you are trying to figure out. The third thing, and the one that generated the most discussion when Dr. Williamson eventually showed the footage to other researchers, was the tool use sequence at the 44-second mark, specifically what happens right after the branch snaps. The snap alone is already hard to explain. The branch is 3 inches thick at the base, and breaking it takes a single downward pull with both hands. No visible effort, no strain on the face, just the crack and the branch coming off. But what happens in the 2 seconds right after the snap is the part that nobody who watches it carefully can explain away. Bigfoot holds the branch and looks at it. The head tilts very slightly to one side. The branch is turned over once in both hands, and then, without any pause or guessing, the branch goes straight over one shoulder to the exact spot on the back that needs scratching. The angle is set right away, adjusted twice to get it exactly right, and the whole thing is done in 11 seconds. There is no fumbling, there is no trial and error. It looked at the object, understood what it could do with it, and used it correctly on the first try. That 3-step process, look, understand, use, is not instinct. It is not trained behavior. It is problem solving, happening on camera, in real time, at 35 feet, in full afternoon sun. But the tool use sequence is not the only moment in the footage where that kind of thinking shows up. It is just the easiest one to see. Go back to the 22-second mark, the plant selection. The hand reaching down is not just grabbing at whatever is closest. The thumb and one finger close around a specific stem at a specific point on that stem, and the grip is controlled enough that the whole root comes free without the stem snapping. That means knowing exactly how hard to pull and at what angle. It means feeling the resistance of that specific plant in that specific ground and adjusting. When the plant reaches the mouth, the jaw does not open wide the way an animal tears at food. The bite is selective. A specific part of the plant is consumed, not the whole thing. And the part that is not eaten is visible in the footage, held briefly in the other hand, and then released. The choosing, the pulling, the selective eating, every single step is on purpose. Every step means knowing what the plant is and which part is actually worth eating. At the 55-second mark, something happens that is easy to miss the first time you watch, but once you notice it, you cannot stop seeing it. Bigfoot, having finished with the branch and started walking toward the tree line, slows slightly and turns its head to the left. Not a full head turn, just a small rotation, maybe 15 degrees, the kind of movement you make when something at the edge of your vision has registered. The camera does not show what it is looking at. The tree line on that side is dense, and the frame does not go far enough to show what is there. But the response is exact. It is not the wide, sweeping head movement of an animal reacting to a general noise. It is the small, controlled turn of something that has already pinpointed exactly where a specific sound came from. The head holds that angle for approximately 1 second. Then Bigfoot turns back toward the tree line and keeps walking at the same pace. Whatever was there was noticed, checked, and dismissed, all in 1 second, without breaking stride. At the 58-second mark, the right hand drops slightly, and the fingers spread. It is quick and almost invisible, the kind of thing you miss completely at normal speed and only catch when you slow the clip down and track the hand specifically. The fingers spread, then close loosely, not into a fist, but into a relaxed half curl. Then the arm goes back to its normal swing. The whole thing lasts less than a second, but what it shows is a hand making a small movement that has nothing to do with walking. A flex, a release, the kind of thing a person does when they have been holding something tight and are letting the tension out of their hand. In the footage, this happens 4 seconds before Bigfoot drops the branch at the 1 minute 3 second mark. That means the hand movement at 58 seconds is not leftover tension from holding the branch. It is something else. The hand is responding to something not visible in the frame or to nothing outside at all, just the hand of a large primate, doing what hands do when they belong to something that is thinking. At 1 minute and 3 seconds, when Bigfoot drops the branch, there is a second sound underneath it that is almost completely hidden by the impact. It lasts about 0.4 seconds and appears in the lower range of the audio spectrum. It is not wind. The wind through the meadow is steady across the whole clip and sounds different. It is not the branch bouncing or settling. That sound is higher and shorter. The 0.4 second sound is soft and controlled, coming from roughly the height of Bigfoot's chest. It is the kind of sound a large primate makes when it breathes out through almost closed lips. Not a word, not a call, just air being let out in a controlled way by a body that is choosing how to breathe. It happens once and is not repeated, and it is the only sound in the entire 77 seconds, other than the branch snap and the footsteps, that comes directly from Bigfoot. The look back at 1 minute and 15 seconds, the last moment before the tree line closes, has a detail that most people do not notice until they have watched the clip enough times for the initial shock to wear off. On a first watch, the look back looks like one movement. The head turns, the eyes find the camera, the head turns back, and the forest takes everything. But when that section is slowed down, the head turn is not one movement, it is two. Bigfoot turns its head toward the camera, holds eye contact for just over 2 seconds, and then, before turning back toward the forest, the head moves again. A very small second rotation, maybe 5 degrees, further in the direction it is already looking. Not away from it, further toward it, as if 2 seconds of looking was not quite enough. The second rotation holds for less than a single frame, less than a 30th of a second, and then the head completes its turn, and the forest takes everything. That small second rotation changes everything about the look back. A reaction to sound produces one head turn toward the source, followed by movement away. A final check before leaving elicits one head turn, then departure. What the footage shows is something that does both of those things, and then makes one more small movement in the same direction, not correcting course, not reacting to anything new, just extending a look that was already finished by a fraction of a second and a fraction of a degree, as if the look was not entirely its own choice, as if something in that meadow found it hard, at the very last moment, to look away. The meadow is empty. The wildflowers are still moving. Camera 9 records another 40 seconds of the empty frame before the motion sensor resets. In those 40 seconds, there is nothing. No movement in the tree line, no sound on the microphone, no sign that anything had been in the meadow at all. 77 seconds. Reddish-brown hair moving as individual growth in the meadow breeze. Shoulders 4.5 feet wide, arms hanging past the knees. A face turning toward the camera at 14 seconds with irises that move, and an expression that changes across 3.2 seconds of direct eye contact. A hand closing around a specific plant stem at 22 seconds with a calibrated grip that brings the root system free and intact. A branch snapped at 44 seconds with a single downward pull that produced no visible effort, then turned over once, assessed, and applied correctly on the first attempt. A head rotation at 55 seconds towards something at the edge of the frame, held for 1 second and then released. A hand flexing at 58 seconds for no visible external reason. A sound at 1 minute and 3 seconds that sits in the frequency range of a controlled exhale from a large primate's chest. A look back at 1 minute and 15 seconds with a micro-rotation at the end that extends the gaze by a fraction of a second, past the point where the look was complete. If you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely like this one.